8 a.m. from The Athletic, the one, the only, Sam Amick. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, gentlemen. Good to be
Uh,
with you in your
uh,
fancy new camera.
Oh,
oh yeah, it is. It is very.
good to be with you.
It's great to be with you, Sam, and our fancy new camera that we're trying to figure out still, but it's getting better all the time, as the Beatles said. So, there you are, right in the middle. We have a delay popping up with your AirPods in, and what hat is that? It looks like an Olympic hat.
This is the Paris Olympics from last summer. This is the Sam didn't have time to comb his hair hat.
It's fine. It's fine. We all been there. Let's start with our Sacramento Kings, Sam, and by our I mean ours, because not yours. You're a journalist. You have no team, but we do, and it's the Sacramento Kings, and they're 1-4. Sam, I proposed a thought that I always love for you to poke holes in. I'm trying to think positive here because I'm not a positive guy. Any chance Scott Perry's just kind of rebuilding, and I don't want to say tanking, but if you look at all his moves through the lens of a guy that knows that this franchise historically avoids rebuilds like the plague, a lot of his moves make sense if he's just saying, you know what, I'm going to do it anyways. I turned over all but one of the next roster within almost a year and a half of being there. Just kind of feels like maybe there's a chance he kind of knows what he's doing with this team being as weird as it is. Am I giving him too much credit?
Well, I just if it's not a one man operation. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you're asking if I think they have tried to win each of the 5 games they've played in, is it 5 or 4?
Five.
Five.
Yeah, 1-4.
1-4.
Um, then no, I don't think that's plausible. They are disappointed. They are legitimately trying to compete, because it's not just Scott in the roster that he was kind of saddled with for the most part. It's it's the coaches and players. So that, there's just that lack of control. I mean, no, they're trying to win. Now he's in for sure he is in like right out the gate evaluation mode in the context of the February trade deadline. And so I think that, you're already seeing opinions getting formed and things getting kind of crystallized that will impact action down the road. But no, this is not a taking effort in my opinion.
Well, there's that. All right. Well, there goes that theory. Back to you, Jason.
Are you done with Sam now?
Yeah, that's it. We'll move on.
We can talk about Austin Reaves if you want.
No, that wouldn't go over well with the audience. It's a great story, right, Sam?
It is.
It's a good story.
It's a great story. I wrote about him the other day and how I called it a Lakers dilemma because, he turned down a 4-year, $90 million extension last summer. The Lakers were like weirdly not shocked, but like disappointed. And it was like, well, there's no way he was taking that. And you had other teams talking about him maybe being worth 40 million a year on the open market. I think he's an interesting not only story, but in the context of the Lakers, it's not, again, your audience doesn't want to hear this, but just the question of like he's been fantastic by himself, but it's still the question is can he contend at a high level with Luca? That's what they have to figure out.
Well, Sam, maybe this will kind of relate just to that story as far as thinking about Zach LaVine and a potential next year. I was talking about this earlier with Dave, where he has a player option, and more times than not, people take their player option, and he's got a very hefty contract. But in a generality, I guess I'll ask it with Zach and maybe even others, because this summer proved to be a summer where a lot of teams didn't have money, and it was a tough market for free agents and certainly restricted free agents. It looks like there'll be a few more teams in play next summer, but do you have an early read on whether or not it's going to be a good free agency summer, that if guys have contracts, will they just kind of stick with it, or are they going to try to test that open market?
I don't have a great feel for it now. The one that we've been focusing on, Jay, has been 2027. Is where you've got the Giannis's and the Jokic's and guys like that. And I'm leaving out the coffee hasn't kicked in yet. A bunch of other big time names. 26. I don't have a great read for. I do think the working theory within the Kings is that Zach would pick that up. I mean, listen, is he 30
He's
now? How
30.
old is Zach? Yeah, like, so maybe, maybe if he has a really good year, he thinks he wants to lock up the next few years and he does opt out. Some guys just don't like to be on the last year of their deal. Within all that, I will say that even with the Kings struggles, what's interesting and not necessarily what I saw coming was that, in my opinion, as their whole group kind of has, tried to figure out what the early days have looked like, in terms of evaluation, like I actually think that Zach is probably getting, pretty positive reviews to this point. That not only is he doing what he does on the offensive end, he's had some cold stretches at bad times, obviously, but that he has been really giving effort on the defensive end and buying in there as well. So, on their list of issues at the moment, I don't actually think that he's near the top
Well, not only is he
in their
averaging,
eyes.
not only is he averaging almost 30 points a game, but he's doing it on 54, 38, and 96 splits. And I agree with you, especially when the individual defensive effort has been there. And it just, again, I'm a conspiracy theorist, Sam. I think I remember what Scott Perry said on the podcast before he got here about Zach LaVine. I think you got to try to make it work, but I also wonder if maybe the Kings are hoping, maybe Zach's hoping. I don't know. I certainly don't want to put words in his mouth that he can play his way into enough value to where I would imagine, Sam, other teams know that the Kings know they're not going to get value for value on Zach. Part of the value of trading him is going to be getting that contract off the books. But is there growing chance, you think, that the untradeable may be playing himself into tradability?
I mean, yeah, sure. It's early, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a really big number.
Yeah.
Like it's like we got a long ways to go, and in the absence of chatter about a specific suitor, like I just can't tell you one team
Sure.
that is monitoring Zach LaVine with even the remote possibility of them saying, yeah, let's do it. I don't know. Maybe that team exists. I'm not aware of it. So, like Milwaukee comes to mind, and they have no flexibility anymore. But like, a team like that that's desperate to contend, and is there some way to add another piece? Well, there's no way for them to pull something like that off. They don't have picks. They're not going to, give you Miles Turner. That would defeat the purpose. So yeah, I mean, again, it's in a vacuum a good thing for the Kings and their fans that Zach is playing well. I just don't know what it means going forward.
Yeah, and part of me wonders, and I don't know, Sam, if you would have any intel on this too. I guess to be fair to the Kings, look, 1-4, nobody is happy about that at all. But it feels like missing Keegan is a big deal just based on roster construction. But, if he's out 4 to 6 weeks and you're like buried by the time he comes back, that's a tough one to wait and see. Hey, let's see what it looks like when we've got an important starter, if they're that far behind as far as the standings go.
For sure. And how many games? What's the knee Clifford situation?
I think he could be soon because I know he's reevaluated in a week. We're basically just about there. So,
yeah. I mean, I had someone with the team tell me, even that is, you don't normally point to a rookie and highlight the absence, but he has size and they could use it right now. And so for sure, missing Keegan is an issue. I don't know how else to frame it other than, I was thinking about like when I wrote about the Russell Westbrook edition, the basic tone of it was maybe this will work, but the fine print was they're not going anywhere anyway, so who really cares that much? And it's admittedly a cynical way to look at it at the time. And again, a little bit like LaVine, you could look at Russ and say, he's been fine. You know what I mean? Like he's been good at times, and it just hasn't been enough. And that's the part in terms of their own frustration and the question of tanking, where I'm not buying it at this point, is that it'd be one thing if they were getting smoked. They're pretty clearly, frustrated at a high level because of, I mean, they really could be, I mean, even last night was close. You could make the old argument they could be 5-0.
Yep, 1-4. Hey, by the way, they're only 4 games out.
That's it.
They're only 4 games behind the Thunder. Sam Amick joins us right now. Yeah, when you look at that, and by the way, I have learned this very quickly this year. Sam, you've been doing this for a lot of teams for a very long time. I have never come across the Russ Westbrook social media horde. And
Ooh, what's that been like?
I tend to be a pretty mouthy guy on Twitter, and I'll say what I say, but I've made a conscious decision. I'm just not going to say, I ain't touching it, man. I have seen this horde is brutal. The Russ horde, oh my God. I have seen them. It's like piranhas, dude, on a ham steak. Like, I've seen them go after some fellow Kings tweeters that have been mainly critical on Russ. And it's like the skeleton is all that's left when they're done with this person. So I've decided I think it's a fantastic move. Love Russ. I think he's a great addition. And I'll never say anything differently. You've dealt with that stuff for a long time, though, Sam. And really, when you have Russ, when you have Zach LaVine, this roster construction is a tiny bit goofy, but to your point, they don't have Nate Clifford. They don't have especially Keegan Murray. They're 1-4. They played an amazingly tough schedule. So can you even begin to grade this? Can you even be able to analyze and grade this team yet based on all that, or do we still not know what the hell they are?
Well, you still don't know, and I'm looking down because I'm going to try to peek at their schedule here.
Good luck.
It's rough coming up.
Sam, I'll help you. And by the way, I'll do this for the audience just to
Well, I
remind
know they
them.
got that homestand. Put it this way.
Yeah.
That homestand, that if you have a national writer in town who gets excited about your upcoming homestand because a bunch of high profile teams are coming through. That's
bad.
the opposite calculus of the home team themselves. So I do remember that part. Yeah.
At Milwaukee, at Denver, that finishes the road trip. And then they go Golden State, OKC, Minnesota, Denver. I've said Atlanta November 12th is the line of demarcation. That ends that homestand before, hold on. Then they go back out and go at Minnesota, at San Antonio, at Oklahoma City, then at Memphis on a back-to-back, then at Denver. Then they come home from Minnesota November 24th. It's as brutal a schedule as there is to start the season, and I got to think the most brutal schedule in the league to start the season.
I mean, honestly, what game they might just, if the odds were from today.
If the odds were from today, we went over this earlier,
November 26th.
I honestly think the only game, again, always barring injuries, the only game there is a possibility of them being favored on, in my opinion, would be, and that's why I circled it, Wednesday, November 12th versus Atlanta at home. That's the second night of a back-to-back coming off a game with Denver. But I could see maybe the Kings 1.5, 2.5 point favorites, and I'm being generous. After that,
I don't see that.
You don't? Yeah. Okay. I'm searching. So after that, then I don't see them being possibly
it's Phoenix and Utah in late November.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sam's seeing this in real time and living it out.
It's a bloodbath, dude.
I'm gonna switch from coffee to something else.
Yeah, Sam, officially just in that first 18, just for your notes, I guess. 9 of the 18 for the Kings are against OKC, Denver, and Minnesota. So they play each of those teams 3 times in the first 18 games.
Anthony Edwards is hurt, and you shouldn't celebrate injury. But, that's the only thing they have going for him.
Do we know about how long he's out for, though?
They said like 2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
Couple weeks.
So Sunday, November 9th, they play them. He'll probably be out for that one, but I'm pretty sure Friday, November 14th, then, and Monday, November 24th, when they play Minnesota, he should be back. So,
I mean, the one that they have a few days off here, which they need. Get ready for big fella in Milwaukee on Saturday.
Yes.
I wrote this whole thing about Wemby already being in contention for MVP, and he is in the early going. I need to write another column about big fella in Milwaukee, who, I mean, I don't know how closely you guys have watched. He is, I'm kind of loving it because of the whole backdrop of will he stay, will he go, and the energy. And then the Knicks came into town the other day, which is the team that he, is known to have wanted to go to, at least to some degree. But he has flipped the script a bit and is playing like prime Wilt, or just prime Giannis, because that's who he is. So he is, I mean, he's gonna have a field day
Are you
on
saying
Saturday.
that?
That is just insane.
Are you trying to say that 36 points, 14 boards, 7 assists, 1.5 blocks, and a steal to go with splits of 70, 57, and 64? Are you saying that's good, Sam?
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. I like literally want to get on a plane and go to Milwaukee. No offense, not that I'm trying to watch the carnage of the Kings. Um, it's the same, you spend so much of the off season trying to unwind, but then you do start missing the game. And this is a funny time of year because I have, trigger finger on when it comes to flights. Let me go out to San Antonio and watch Wemby. Let me go watch Giannis. I mean, he's in a unique space. I think his, not to get on the Bucks beat too much, but it feels like, and knowing him a little bit, like it's all that energy about, his loyalty being questioned by some fans and that type of thing. It's like when it comes to the game, I think I do love it. He's decided to make it very clear that even if he might be pondering his future and whether or not he should stay long term, like he's not ever going to compromise the competition. Because he has just been on a mission. I mean, that clip I'm sure you guys saw of him screaming, "This is my city."
Yeah.
So yeah, he's in a mood.
And I think, Sam, this might be his biggest challenge because I think this is his worst roster he's been on. I mean, he's phenomenal, but he doesn't have the same support cast that he had before.
We're kind of learning though, Jay. Like, I agree, but like Ryan Rollins is a real player.
Mhm.
Had a really good game last night. Miles Turner is fitting in really well. You're right. I mean, the roster, that's the reason he was looking around. But this is the fun part of sports to some degree is that, you end up getting surprised.
Yeah.
And even if you're Giannis, you're learning in real time what your teammates look like. And then if you look at the scope of the East, as I tried to here, it's like, the Bucks' whole angle when they tried to convince him not to hit the red panic button next to him was that with Jason Tatum going down in Boston and Halliburton going down in Indiana, that like just you don't know how the East looks. And so the Bulls and Sixers of all teams are undefeated right now. That's not going to continue, but fun stories. Cleveland is not looking great. They have no Darius Garland. There's not a juggernaut in the East. And I mean, Cleveland is that. Detroit is really good, but and the Knicks have been a little bit missing or hit and miss with Mike Brown lately. So I kind of love the parity in the East because you've got a lot to watch, but you don't have a clear front runner.
Bilateral Achilles tendinopathy can lead to an Achilles tear, particularly in serious cases of Achilles tendinitis. While tendinopathy refers to pain without a tear, it can progress to tendon rupture in instances. Therefore, managing it is crucial to prevent potential tears. I ask this because Anthony Davis left last night's game with what is being called as a sore lower leg issue. He had been listed as probable on the pregame injury report because of bilateral Achilles tendinopathy. Now, of course, we don't even want to put that in the ether, but are the Mavs at DEFCON 1 right now, or whatever the bad one is, when you're looking at Anthony Davis, who, let me just say with all respect, doesn't have the reputation of being the most Cal Ripken-esque person in basketball. Are they now on red alert with this guy?
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, they're off to a tough start in general because
Yeah.
you got the AD concerns. Cooper Flag hasn't really popped. He has had moments, but not consistently. Um, they're one of those teams, not to the degree of the Kings, but like they want to win and might not have the firepower to do it. And the AD thing, I mean, they're still having fire Nico chants
Yeah.
during the game. Nico Harrison, the GM, who famously traded Luka Doncic. Um, so yes, I mean it's not the entire wagon getting hitched to AD's backside, but it's a lot of it. And if he's having issues, Klay Thompson's not picking that up. Kyrie's obviously out. So yeah, that's tough for Dallas for sure.
Jason Clay Thompson looks like he might be done.
Oof.
He looks terrible
Yeah.
this year.
He can run to Megan and be happy with life.
Right, there you go.
Sam, we're what? I mean, basically 1 week in. Some teams have played 4. Most teams have 4 or 5 games. It's way too early, but just early surprises, maybe positively, negatively for you so far from the league?
Well, we do end up talking about things in the filter of the Kings, and I'm trying to always be mindful of not rubbing things in. But when you see in Philly, like Dave said earlier, like, can we have an Austin Reaves? I'm sure the Kings fans are like, just give us something like that to get excited about. So in Philly, like this VJ Edgecombe kid is absurd.
Yeah.
Like I can't remember. Now he's obviously a very high pick, 3rd overall, but like a guy who in the first 5 games or 4, whatever it is, you're just like, oh, so he's a star. Like he's a bona fide star, and he's so much fun to watch, and he plays with a pace and a kind of an IQ that you don't typically see right out the gate. Explosiveness, sophisticated offensive game. Had an incredible athletic block the other day that was LeBron-esque, even and then some, just flying high to go get it. And that combination with Edgecombe and Maxey, who is doing all-star things, and as of yesterday, I think was leading the league in scoring. It's, the part of, I was happy or am happy for Sixers fans who have had their own torture the past couple of years. When they've got big time players in their program, but when the Joel Embiids and the Paul Georges of the world can't play, and you're literally thinking we're going to be title contenders, and then it just all falls apart. It's a heck of a plot twist to look up and say, wow, we're going to have this incredible backcourt that is going to pose problems for the opponent every single night and be must-see TV. So Philly is, especially when you have to finish that one, a coach and Nick Nurse, a GM and Daryl Morey, who kind of were widely known to kind of go into the season somewhat on the hot seat. Things were getting uncomfortable out there, and VJ and Tyrese are so far changing the mood. I mean, the Bulls story, King saw it last night. I mean, that's definitely a surprise and kind of a fun one. We are certainly overlooking the champs, who just very methodically have been perfect so far. And then we mentioned Wemby. I mean, does that kind of give you my short list? The Wemby thing has been a lot of fun. My biggest thing is I felt like an outlier or kind of in the minority last year when I would nitpick, like, okay, he's great, but I'm tired of seeing him chuck 8 threes a game. So like this new version that is bodying people, and I mean, my God, the dream shake is so much fun to watch when he pulls it off, and his handle where he's going around the back in transition against 6'2" guards who kind of don't know where the ball went. He's been on a different level.
VJ Edgecombe, I think, is I agree with you. He's a story, one of the stories of the year. Born and raised in Bimini, Bahamas, lived off a generator, and migrated to the U.S. when he was in 9th grade. Buddy Hield, he lists as his mentor. Anyone want to take a guess as to what VJ stands for?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know what the J stands for, but, well, actually, I think I do. I just figured it out. So it's Valdez Drexel Edgecombe Jr. So my guess is V for Valdez, J for Junior. And I'm going to spend the rest of the day wondering if, you know what? Actually, I don't need to wonder, guys. We do this game a lot, Sam. Who would be a better player, Valdez Edgecombe or VJ? I think it's 100% VJ Edgecombe. Mm-hmm. That's just a better name. Sam, your thoughts?
Also, sure, I'll go with VJ. Did you hear the fun nickname from Kate Scott, who obviously does a wonderful job on the Sixers broadcast? Mm-hmm. The backcourt of VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, she has dubbed VJ Max.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That is well done, Kate. I'm going to remember that. Good. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on him, and we'll keep an eye, I'm sure, on the Sacramento Kings all year long, even though Sam shoots down all my conspiracy theories. That's fine. That's why we bring him on. Bring on the brains.
Stop being a conspiracy theorist, by the way. I meant to tell you that.
Why?
Like, there's too many of those these days.
You're right.
Like,
No,
what
just
are you doing?
Just Kings conspiracies. I don't believe in any other ones. All right. All right. Sam Amick joining us. Thank you, Sam. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Be good.
Thank you. 4 down territory. Thursday night football.